Well, hello everybody and welcome to Lunchbreak Live. Real talk about obesity, food addiction, recovery, and what's really eating you. On today's show, crime and punishment. If food is the punishment, what's the crime? Are you guys intrigued? All right, but before I go there, it would be a crime, see what I did there, if I didn't tell you who I am. I am Carrie De La Cruz, a 2007 gastric bypass post-op, living life in recovery from obesity and compulsive overeating as twice the woman in half the body. So that's me. And now I want to find out who's here. Because of course, you know, if you're not here, it's just me. And I wouldn't need to be doing this because I can do this without a camera. So I want to know who's here. And for that, you know, so I don't get all squinty, I'm going to put my glasses on. And let's see here. It looks like, oh, good. I'm so glad you guys are here. I see Marlene. Hi, Marlene. And Vivian. I haven't seen you in a while, Vivian. And Marcus, you made it again. I'm so happy, my friend. And Jerry, not out in the convertible with Jeb just yet. And my mama, who has a headache. So she's probably not going to be the Walmart greeter today. I pointed out to her the reason she probably has a headache, though, is because of the fumes from recoating her bathtub. But anyway, really glad that you guys are all here. Here's what I want to know. If you're here live, now I've already done a shout out to some of you guys, though. If you're here live, hey, Donna, how are you? I'm so glad you're here live. Okay, so if you're here live, do me a favor and type an L in the comments, okay? Hey, Stacy, I see that you're here checking in too. So type an L just so that when I go back, I can see who was here live. And if you guys are on demand, so in other words, you're going to be watching this after I'm no longer on live, put an O so that I know that you were here. You leave a little footprint, okay? So Stacy says, hey, I'm alive. Steve, go ahead and leave me an L so I know that you're here live. And Jerry is live, and my mama is live. All right, and Marcus, right on. I'm loving this, you guys. All right, and Donna is live. Fantastic. Now, if I am not saying your name, again, it's because Facebook wants to keep you from me. All right, now, here's the next one. Hey, Lisa, welcome. You're here live, so shoot me an L. Hi, L. Hey, Steve, pretty funny with your little rhyme on my wall, but I think I had a pretty good comeback, don't you? All right, Regina, you're here. Yay. You're doing really good work, lady. And Trisha, hi, you're live too. Fantastic. This is awesome. Hey, Jimbo, you're a new face for me, aren't you? Welcome. Are you like usually an on-demand viewer, or is this your first time? See, this is my next question for you guys. If you are a first-time viewer, can you shoot me the number 1? So if this is your first time watching me, just give me a 1, whether you're live or on demand, doesn't matter. Shoot me the number 1 well, I do my best, Steve, if this is your first time. If it's not your first time, well, then I am just really grateful that you decided to come back and make it more than a first time, more than a one-time thing. So, all right, you guys. So listen, remember this is an interactive program, so if you feel it, say it. You know, share it, do whatever you got to do, throw me some of those symbols so that I see what you guys are thinking about, and so that other people on Facebook will know that it might be worth watching. Hey, Linda, I'm so glad you're live today. Yay, this is super fun, you guys. All right, so on with the show. Are you ready? Do you want to do this thing or not? Shoot me some thumbs up just so I know. Otherwise, I'm just going to sit here and, okay. All right, there's a thumbs up right on. You guys are on it today. Fantastic. All right, so here is the show. Woohoo! I'm seeing thumbs up all over the place. Right on. Love it. You guys are really energized, and you energize me. Nancy, hi. Welcome. I'm glad you made it in. You know what? I do, before I go too much farther, I do want to thank you guys so much. You know, there are several of you out there, and you know who you are. There are several of you guys out there who take the time to send me the most wonderful messages behind the scenes, messages of encouragement and inspiration and hopefulness, and letting me know that you guys are on the journey but you don't feel alone because you joined LBL. Makes me so joyful. I am so happy, and I am gratified that I get to do this. So thank you guys for that. You're always taking care of me and encouraging me, and that is, I just want you to know, I feel it all the way from my head to my toe, which is probably why I have chills on my arms right now, honestly. So anyway, thank you guys for taking care of me and looking out for me. I really appreciate it, and I feel it. All right, so let's see. Oh, and the other thing, I was lamenting. I just want you to know, I was lamenting like that my show looks so, you know, homemade, and like my background in my office is so boring, and like I don't have good lighting, and I'm using my camera phone, and I'm thinking, I just wish I had a better camera. I wish I had a better backdrop. And I realized that falls into the category of a necessity, which I put on my wall today. A necessity, which you swear is a need, but in reality really, really isn't. So it's a necessity to think that maybe one day I'll be able to produce this show and have it look a little more professional. But I don't know, maybe content, over form is more important, right? Function over form, that's what I'm hoping. So anyway, thank you guys for showing up, even though it looks like it's being done in my basement. All right, so on with the show, crime and punishment. I'm going to start by defining it, because I love to do that, because sometimes when I define words, I find deeper meanings, alternate meanings, things that I never even thought about. Hey, Marie, I'm glad you made it in, honey. You're a live viewer. L, shoot me an L so I know that you are very much alive. Thank you for being here. And I said some stuff probably that pertains to you, so go back and watch the beginning if you missed it. All right, necessity. Yeah, I woke up with that one running around in my head this morning. I thought, that's pretty funny. It's a necessity. All right, so, and it's probably out there somewhere, but it's true. It's real, and that's what counts. Yes, just like my red hair. Right, Nancy? Thank you for that. I love it. All right, so let me define the word punishment, because I think that's kind of cool. All right, punishment is a noun, and it is defined as the infliction or imposition of a penalty as retribution, not retribution. That would be somewhere back there. Retribution for an offense. Okay, so that's the first definition. And some of the synonyms that we would associate with punishment are like penalizing. We're penalizing someone when we're punishing them, disciplining them. We're exacting penance, which we often hear in church. A sanction. We have a sanction against them. A sentence. Oh, I loved this one. Getting their just desserts. How funny is that, right? Punishment is getting your just desserts. I wonder where that came from. I didn't look that part up, but if one of you guys wants to look up the, what do you call it? What is it called? Like the history of a word. I can't remember the word for that word. But anyway, if you guys think about it, the history of the word, I would love to know. All right, but not right now. Listen to me, then go check it out. All right, so that's the first definition. The second definition is this: rough treatment or handling inflicted on or suffered by a person or a thing. So rough handling or treatment, and synonyms for that are maltreatment, mistreatment, abuse, ill use, manhandling, damage, and harm. Origin of word, yeah, but there's like a word for it, Jerry, like the study of the, I can't even remember what letter it starts with, but it's like, I want to say it starts with an O, but I know it doesn't. It's not that one. It's like the study of the, I'm not going down that road right now. I'll get all distracted. Hey, Laura, I'm so glad you're, etymology. Thank you, Steve. I knew it. I was just like, I couldn't, thank you. You put me out of my misery for that. All right. So I don't know the etymology of just desserts, but that would be interesting to find out. Anyway, so we've got those two definitions, right? So we've got probably what we are very familiar with when we're talking about punishment, which is to somebody else, right? Where we're talking about infliction of discipline or penalty and retribution for an offense, right? But then that next one, that rough treatment, that maltreatment, damage, or harm, that's kind of interesting when you think about it, because here's what I want to know. How many of you guys thought of the first definition when I said that the show was going to be about crime and punishment? So if you thought of the first definition, give me a 1. All right, the first definition was the first one that popped into your head, that idea of let's see here. Yeah, penalizing, disciplining. So if you thought of that one. Now, if you thought of number 2, the second definition, which is like rough treatment or abuse, give me a 2. All right, now again, okay, so Nancy thought of a 1. That was her first. Okay, Marie, right, a 1. Good. Regina, a 1. This is very interesting. See, I didn't know how this was going to turn out or what we were all going to be thinking of. So we're thinking of it as exacting upon others. In other words, it's an outward thing. It's exacting it upon someone else other than ourselves, right? Often. I don't want to fill in the blanks. All right, but the other definition of punishment that I'm looking at, the maltreatment, damage, or harm, well, that's something we could very much do to ourselves, isn't it? We could punish ourselves, right? Okay, Elaine, you said 1 too. This is very interesting. All right, so next question. Ready? How many of you, and you guys can just shoot me, hey Maria, welcome. I'm so glad you're here. How many of you guys, you ready? And you can like throw me a, what do I want to see? I want to see a mad face, okay? I want you to shoot me an angry face if you heard the word food when I said punishment. So the first time, do you associate punishment with food? If you do, shoot me an angry face, one of those little symbols at the bottom, okay? How many of you hear punishment and think food? Maybe none of you. I don't know. It's not coming by yet, so if you're throwing it, I'll look for it to kind of drift by. But if not, maybe you didn't. Maybe you didn't associate it. And if you didn't, let's think about this for a minute. Because unfortunately, a lot of people do associate. Nope, Laura did not. So a lot of people do associate. Hi, Dorothy, glad you're here. Do associate the two because that's how many of us did experience punishment when we were little, right? Think about this for a minute. Maybe you were told that unless you cleaned your entire plate, you couldn't leave the table. Okay, I was told that. I was. And okay, Mom, I'm not saying you were bad and wrong. I'm just saying those were the rules, that because you were trying to get me to eat my vegetables. I get it. I was not allowed to leave the table unless I cleaned my entire plate. So everybody else could be watching TV, everyone else could be away from the table, and there I would sit with my glass of milk and my plate of veggies undone until I hid them, you know, or fed them to the dog. All right, so that was punishment though, with food. Okay, eat your food or you don't get to leave the table, all right? Maybe you were told that because you didn't do your chores, you would be sent to bed hungry, okay? You didn't do your chores, you're going to bed hungry, right? Maybe you were told that because you back-talked, you wouldn't get dessert. You were told that people in China were starving. Yeah, and I mean, I'm like, so you're punishing me because people in China are starving? I don't understand. How does that even relate to me unless I'm in China? Which I know you've had family members, you know, actually be, you know, or hide them under the furniture. Yes, I did that. Mom, I don't like peas. I still don't like peas or broccoli. I just don't, and you can't make me. But at least I like zucchini. All right. Maybe you were told that you couldn't have ice cream because you were on a diet. Anybody? Does this resonate with anyone? In other words, hi, Sarah, I'm glad you made it, right? You can't have sweets or treats because you're on a diet. So maybe that is how food was used as punishment for you when you were little and you maybe didn't even think about it. Maybe you were told that your brother can have cookies, but you can't because he's thin and you're not. You know what? My brother's diabetic, okay? So he was always thin, type 1. And he had to have sugar when his blood sugar dropped. He had to have instant sugar, right? Well, I wanted that. I wanted to have low blood sugar so I could also have it, but I felt punished. I can't have it because he's thin. That was the conclusion I made. That wasn't what I was being told, but that was the conclusion I drew. I was being punished for not being diabetic. Crazy what we do with stuff, right? All right, maybe you were told you could have special treats, but only if you behaved. And if you misbehaved, you wouldn't get any treats. So maybe there was an association that says if you're good, you get treats. So be good in church, or be good at your aunt's house, or be good on the way at the bank, and you can have a treat. Or maybe you were told that if you didn't stop crying, you wouldn't get a cookie, but if you behave, you could get 2. So no cookies if you don't stop crying, but if you stop crying, you can have 2. So do you see what I'm saying? So maybe this was being used for us in ways to manipulate our behavior, to secure our compliance, a particular response, okay? Food. And maybe as you grew up, you began to use food to punish yourself. Think about this one for a minute. All right? If you don't lose 5 pounds by the wedding, you don't get any cake at the reception. That's kind of interesting, right? Okay, so if you don't lose 10 pounds by the time you go on your cruise, well, you're not going to look good in your bathing suit. So on that cruise ship, you better not eat any of the dessert at the buffet line, you know. Okay, so maybe we do use food to punish ourselves even as adults. Maybe you began to punish yourself by substituting the real thing with cheap imitations that tasted terrible because you don't deserve the real thing. oh, I can't have the real thing, but I want something, so I'll just eat this crappy thing over here. I'm going to punish myself with crappy food because I think I got to have something. And better to have crap than nothing at all. That's what we conclude. Sounds like punishment to me. I don't know. What's the flip side of punishment when you guys are thinking about this? If I say, what's the opposite of punishment? What do you guys say? Give me just one word that comes to your mind. The opposite of punishment, whether it is or it isn't, I don't care. Just tell me. I want to see what you guys have to think about it. The opposite of punishment. Anybody? Anybody? Bueller? Anyone? Reward. Right. That's the word I put down. Rewards. Bingo. Right. See, this is amazing. You guys are like Pavlov's dogs, and I don't mean anything by that, but I say a word and you go, ding. I know what that is. Reward. Oh my gosh, how crazy is that? Is it really the opposite? Is that really an antonym to punishment? I don't know. Maybe it is, but we certainly went there, every one of us, didn't we? All right, so the flip side of punishment, how about reward? If you're a good boy or a girl, you get candy. And Stacy also said deserve. Absolutely. If you're a bad boy or girl, you go hungry. If you eat all of your vegetables, you get cake. If you don't eat your vegetables, you'll be sent to your room. So we've got punishment or we've got reward, all wrapped around food. Follow the rules and you get rewarded. Don't follow the rules and you get punished. That's the conclusion, isn't it? Not hard to figure out how we got where we are, you guys. And it's not as if anyone meant for this to turn out the way that it did. It's not as if anyone felt that they were punishing us, doing us harm so that we would be harmed later to the tune of morbid obesity for many of us or addiction, okay? Of course not. I think the motivation is discipline and correction. Correcting the behavior, right? That's what we're looking for. That's what I'm sure our parents certainly believe that. And if we did that to our kids, we certainly believed it as well. But here's where we are. We conclude that rewards are food and so is punishment. Rewards can be both food and punishment. Food is the answer to everything. When we're good or we're bad, food. When we're better, we get more food, right? So some of us decided that when we grew up, we would never again be punished by food. And we illogically concluded that having whatever we wanted was the opposite of punishment, a reward. But what are I knew I was not going to be able to say this. What are we rewarding exactly? Okay? So if we said, I'm never going to be punished by food again, I'm going to have whatever I want because that's the opposite of punishment, reward, right? Because I deserve it, because I've talked about this before, I don't want to be deprived, so I'm not going to do a show on deprivation today, but that's one of the conclusions, the faulty conclusions that we draw, right, is that when we're being punished, we're being deprived of our freedom, but we view it as being deprived of food. We're being deprived of whatever we want to do, and namely that's to eat, okay? So what exactly are we rewarding? All right, sometimes we reward ourselves with a free food day because we punished ourselves with our diet for a whole week. Oh my gosh. What? Yeah. Think about it that way for a second, won't you? Right? Sometimes we reward ourselves with a free food day because we punished ourselves with our diet for a whole week. Punished ourselves. So we reward ourselves by doing everything we're not supposed to do. Sometimes we reward ourselves with cupcakes because we worked out really hard today, of course, and we earned it. I can't leave all those calories on the table today, please. I mean, I worked out so hard on that elliptical, like 600 calories. So, man, you know what? I could eat this cupcake and still walk away with 100 calories left on the table, right? So, in other words, instead of looking at the benefit of all of this really great cardiovascular work that we're doing or exercise, we're looking at it as punishing ourselves. And thus, we need to reward ourselves for punishing ourselves. Reward ourselves by eating something that we worked so hard to burn off. Not even realizing that it's not a one-to-one, what do you call it, relationship, okay? It's not one-to-one. Earn this many, burn that many. I mean, I know we think that because of Weight Watchers and everything else, you know, calories in, calories out. Yeah, I think we get into fuzzy math there, but here's the thing that I think. Sometimes We use food like carrot cake on a stick, right, to motivate us to do something, which is really the opposite of what it is that we really, I think, want for ourselves, which is to live in recovery from obesity and or compulsive overeating or any sort of addiction, don't we? So why would we be dangling a carrot cake on the end of that stick going, you can have this win. This is your little reward, but you can't have this, I will punish you, unless you do exactly what you're supposed to do, like be on your diet for 5 whole days, then you can have your cupcake. Wow, your carrot cake, whoa. Well, a lot of us did receive confusing messages when we were kids, okay? And we continue to confuse them with ourselves by claiming that withholding food for any reason is punishment, and we should never be punished. That is the conclusion many of us make. We don't even realize that's what we're doing. Withholding, that's how we look at it. Notice the word, withholding food is punishment, and we should never be punished. But remember that second definition, maltreatment, harm, abuse? We're punishing ourselves, and yet we're saying we should never be punished. But then we look back at the first definition, which says discipline, which is encouraging improved behavior. Do we really understand the word punishment? Do we really understand how we're using it? See, what about the first definition of punishment where the goal is discipline or correction? Don't we call prisons correctional institutions? Whether they are or aren't, it doesn't matter, but I'm saying, isn't that what we call them? Maybe it's a euphemism, but the idea is that you're supposed to get correction, right? So that when you come out, you don't repeat the offense. Don't we encourage restitution, right? Which is making whole, right? You can't bring a dead person back if you've committed murder. Okay, so I'm not going there. But, you know, when we talk about like white collar criminals and stuff like that, and it's like you get your money back that they scammed you or whatever, and they're trying to make monetary restitution, let's say, in repayment for a crime that's committed. Okay, that is one of the definitions of punishment, right? And I am not going to say that obesity and addiction are crimes. So do not hear me saying that, because I'm not. They are not crimes. But I will say this, that if we don't treat them, we're committing crimes against ourselves and doing it in the name of reward. Dun, dun, dun. Okay, that's a drop the mic moment, but I still have 2 paragraphs left. That's a drop the mic moment, you guys. You are not a criminal because you are dealing with the diseases of obesity and addiction, but you are committing crimes against yourself if you're doing it by using food in the name of reward. So, do you use food as a reward, claiming that you deserve something or don't want to make it forbidden fruit? Maybe you claim you don't want to deprive yourself because that would just be punishment. Do you think that eating unhealthy foods in unhealthy quantities is a reward or a punishment? I don't know. I think I'll leave that up to you. What do you think? That's all I got. Now my computer restarted because it decided it had to update the software. And I just wanted to know where I was time-wise. And it looks like I'm coming up on 7 minutes before the hour. So let me just take a real quick look at what you guys are saying, because I don't want to take away from that message, the importance and significance of the message. I'm not calling you a criminal. I'm asking you to consider your interpretation of the words punishment and reward, and consider how it is that food might fit into that equation for you, because chances are pretty good you're using it as a weapon. Okay, so alrighty guys, let me scroll back and see, because you guys have been talking, and I love that. Let's see here. I love it. Okay, so no punishment. I felt it was a positive thing to eat my food. And Laura, you know, and you bring up a very good point, because not all of us come from a place of an unhealthy childhood, you know, which is where a lot of us got these messages that were misinterpreted. You're right. Many of us did not come to obesity as a disease in our lives until we were adults. However, I think it is still relevant to consider how it is that we are using food in our lives. If we are using it as that carrot cake on the stick, are we using it as motivation? And are we, when it's really a weapon, because we're using food to reward healthy behavior? it's worth considering. But you're absolutely right. We don't all come to this place today on the show from the same experiences in any way. But many of us, I think, share the same feelings. Let's see here. And you also weren't obese until you were after 19. Yeah, and that is the story for many. And yet others can't remember a time when they weren't obese, right? You know, it's so amazing that we can have shared experiences and feelings, and yet we experienced them at such different times in our lives, coming from such a different headspace. You know, many people became obese, let's say women, after they had a lot of children, right? And it's like, oh, I gained all my weight after I had kids, or I got really, really sick, or I got injured and I gained weight. So whatever brought us to that place, I think the message for today is, how are we using food in the treatment of our disease? Whatever brought us here. All right, so let's see here. Bad, no dinner, good cookies. Right, see, that's the math. That's that bad math. Ice cream cone after my liver shots at the doctor's office. Yeah, you're a good girl. Here, I'm going to undo everything I'm supposedly doing for you at the doctor. Oh no, I'm eating cake. Right now? I'm so confused, Jerry. See, you're just so cerebral sometimes. All right, just desserts. Not just desert. Wait, it's just deserts, not just desserts. Dessert. Okay, wait, I got the wrong. Desert is an old and obsolete English way of saying deserve or merit. Most modern English. Okay, I got to read your definition later, Stacy, because I'm running out of time. But that's brilliant. Okay, and I will come back to that. All right. Reward, reward, reward. Everybody is saying absolutely that was the opposite of punishment in their minds. That's the first word that came to mind. Thank you, Regina, for sharing this show. I really appreciate that. How the reward or punishment is different than the way I am hearing it is the way it is said. Yeah, it's a good point, Elaine. How we use the terms reward and punishment, right, is, you know, we might be deciding that it means something totally different based on how we think we're using it. But remember, we're really good liars. We love to believe our own fabrications, especially if someone else reinforces it and says, oh, no, it's not a problem. So, you know, I think it's really important to sit down and, like I put on my wall today, a big part of communication is listening. Are we really listening to ourselves? So anyway, guys, I am going to sign off because I'm up against the wall with the hour mark, or the half hour mark. So I really appreciate the wonderful thoughtfulness, you know, the great feedback, your willingness to make me think about things or see things or say things differently so that we can hear them. I really, really appreciate that. I think that's what education is all about, you know, is being a facilitator, not being a lecturer, you know. So I'm really grateful to be a part of this with you guys as a fellow student. So I am definitely going to sign off until tomorrow. At least that's the plan. If you watched yesterday's show, you should know I can't guarantee tomorrow. But I will look forward to it anyway. And I'm going to sign off and remind you all to have courage, seek peace, embrace joy, and above all, live the rewards of recovery. Remember, you can't stop feeding what's eating you if you don't know what's eating you. I'll see you guys tomorrow. Share the show. Bye.